Hi, Brandocious. Okay,
Hello.
I'm working now. Okay, sounds good to me.
Doesn't help much on our pretty looks, Brandon.
Well, we can blacken the screen if we need to, I guess.
Yeah, we're we just need to remember that.
Yeah,
We're good at other
it's okay. Yeah.
yeah, we're good at other things.
Yeah, no. Closed it without exiting out of the tuning program for my Miata. So I had to plug this back in to allow me to actually close it because it freaks out.
Large program?
No, it's like ECU tech. It's just tiny, but because you don't have this it's a key or whatever to tune ECUs or something like that. No, I'm here now. Well, it's me. Nobody wants to see me anyways.
I'm trying to figure out how to do split screen on my Mac, but it's not really
Oh, yeah.
Sounds
I
like
mean, I'm on Chrome, so I'm like, well, Chrome has that in there, so why can't I do it?
Well, so what
Mac
I do
problems.
is if you grab the tab and drag it to one side of the screen, it'll put it on half the screen. But I don't know
Hi.
if that's...
So we are live, even though we're still technically troubleshooting.
Yeah,
as,
that's
as
what I
normal.
thought, and I know on PC it does that, but I don't think it does it on Mac.
I'm gonna try to get Brandon back in here as always.
Certain pluses and downsides to Mac, right?
Yeah. Just like how my Xbox thing won't work with Mac.
Alrighty.
Coyote, are you there? I can't hear Coyote.
I can see
Yeah,
you.
I can't hear him either.
Can't hear you,
We
Coyote.
can see you, but we can't hear you.
And I could hear you a few minutes ago, of course. And Brendan, I can't see at all.
No?
Not on the stream, anyways.
Oh.
Let me try again. We're trying again. Always the fun. Just getting everybody on here. Every time.
Every time.
Every time. It works 100% of the time.
You know, after like, yeah, 60% of the time, every time.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. I may just have to do Robbie's YouTube on my phone.
There we go. I can see him now. Yeah. There's Brendan.
Awesome.
All
yeah,
right.
my computer was freaking out.
All right.
I still can't hear you.
It's Coyote, my man. Where's your other headset? You know?
Oh, he's on...
He's trying Bluetooth.
He's trying Bluetooth, but he can hear us. All right, well, let's let him sort out
Isn't that
his...
what you're on?
No, we're all on regular headsets because we don't want to deal with this crap anymore.
Brandon, are you on Bluetooth?
I'm on Xbox Bluetooth.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, so it's got the little Xbox adapter and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to get to work.
Well, how's it feel being married for like 2 days now?
The plug-in.
3 days.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, plug-ins
always
always
fun.
All right, guys. I think we can.
Hey, speaking of those headsets, how are those?
Oh, the Turtle Beach?
Yes.
Wonderful. For games too, they have a different volume for the actual game, and then they have a volume for voices that you can just play with back here.
These are normal music headphones that I just plug into the controller.
Oh.
Which it works, right? Yeah. And I got my little mic right here, so it works, but they're not very comfortable for long stints.
Yeah, no, neither of these.
All right. Looks like he's trying something with a wire.
No.
Oh.
All right. Wire.
Let's see if wires are the winners tonight.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with wired.
I'm tired of messing around with all that wireless crap. It never works for me, so I just gave up on it years ago. Except on my bike. It works crystal clear on my bike. I can have a conversation at 100 miles an hour on my motorcycle. I remember that night I called you on the way home, Brandon?
Yeah.
I was doing 100, 105. Yeah. And I could hear you perfectly clear.
Who are you talking to?
Wow, that's weird. Huh? Oh, see, Robbie called me.
Oh,
the other night.
I've still got no Coyote.
Okay, well, anyways, welcome to another Shooting the Shift. If you were here last time you saw Coyote, he's still trying to figure out his mic. We have here Scott Haddock. He's a good friend of mine, and he, one, loves F1, so we'll get onto that subject in a little bit. And then two, he also has a detailing and ceramic coating business here in Tucson. So if you have any questions that he might be able to answer, go ahead and ask them. We'll get to them.
And hopefully Coyote figures out his mic. If not, he'll just be a little bit of a weird antic up in the top left corner. And trying to puppet his way through this whole thing while he's sorting out his wirelessness. I could have sworn I heard him earlier, but I guess...
I heard something when I was trying to get mine to work earlier.
Where's your old crappy mic that didn't work last time? Let's try that one, see if it works, and then we'll know if it's the electrical crap or it's your headset. Yeah, thanks for joining us again, guys. We appreciate it. It's been a fun, eventful weekend for all of us. There's lots of stuff going on. We definitely wanted to dive in quick, and it's already been a few minutes into this already. But first off, congratulations to Brandon. If you guys didn't know, he was able to tie the knot this weekend, and it was awesome.
Brandon, you're the only one I can hear.
Oh, you can't hear Ravi?
I cannot.
Well, that's just disappointing.
Oh.
Because you can hear me, right, Brandon?
Yeah, and he can hear me in the little chat that we have on the side. So at least he has that one on. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. And I heard Robbie before the rest of you guys joined on.
You can't hear me at all?
No, he's not hearing
me. Can anyone else hear me?
Well, Coyote can hear you, but we can't hear him.
Well, that's true. Coyote can hear me talking. Right, Coyote? You can hear me talking? Is that a thumbs up? Because he still can't hear you. See? He can hear me. Scott, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
He said it's really low. Do. How's that, Randall? Other guys can hear me. It's not just me then.
Oh, Coyote just left the room.
Yep.
What happened there?
I think he's gonna have to sort his mic out.
Yeah, I had to reset my whole.
You know, this has always been fun. So since we can't all be in one place, it's never the same. Every single time it's slightly different, and I'm coming to realize. I'm coming to realize that that's just upper and lower right. So yeah, he can. So it looks like everybody can be heard on the stream at least. So it looks like Scott's just the one who's losing out here, which is kind of unfortunate.
So everyone can hear all of us, Scott. You're the only one that can't hear Ravi.
You're awesome.
Yeah, so Brandon's gonna kind of rephrase my questions.
I'm gonna try to reload this. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that works.
That's fine.
All right, well, yes.
So yes, congratulations this weekend tying the knot, man. That was a wonderful ceremony, and it was really cool to have it at a racetrack as opposed to other places that are boring and not entertaining at all for your guests.
Right.
And the food, the tacos were delicious, and the beer was a good selection. I see that my Big Blue van that you tried last week ended up in the bin there. I was quick to hoover those up
because I knew you were coming.
Oh yes, I hoovered those up quickly. Oh, Coyote's back. Let's see if he figured anything out. Nope, nothing.
Nope.
Sorry, buddy.
I don't know.
It's Scott.
Hey.
Wait, who's that?
All right. That was Scott.
Oh, Scott. I can't see Scott, but I can hear him.
Oh, I can see you now. I can hear you guys.
Oh, good. At least he can hear us. Can everybody see Scott on here, or is he just? I don't see. Scott.
I see him on ours. I don't see him on the YouTube yet.
All right, I'll play with that for a minute while we got at least audio back, because audio we can hear him, so that's good. All right, but yeah, so congratulations on that. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we were able to make it down. It was quite the hike, but it was definitely worth it. And I hope Ariel had a good time and is still enamored.
Yeah, no, Ariel had a really good time. I know she only got, I think, like 9 laps. Also, during our wedding, as we were being announced for the first time as Mr. and Mrs. Welsh, we also announced that we're pregnant. So Ariel has little Bean inside of her.
One Bean.
And that's why she only got 9 laps on the track, because the little Bean didn't like it right now.
Got a little bit nauseous.
Don't you worry. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's expected and understood totally. And she was a trooper, and she looked good out there too. I'm glad I was able to get off track before I watered down the whole thing. But I looked behind me, and I'm like, oh, it's just water. It's already evaporated. No problem.
Right? Yeah.
It was so hot
actually,
on the ground.
the Indy staff was like, we're so happy it was Ravi because he actually runs water. I'm sure everyone else there had coolant.
Right. I think it was just the way the engine rocked pulled the hose off slowly but surely. So I'm gonna have to just start checking that or find a longer hose just because of the way it's positioned. Because
and as you said, it's a good thing that it lasted 5 laps after your last time trial
right.
event.
Yeah, because if that had happened on the bank, that would not have been a very fun time. But I'm gonna have to add that to the list of things to check. Still no dice on Coyote. It looks like he's trying something else. All right, so Scott, we've met twice in our lives, I think, maybe. And I did actually possibly, yeah. I actually didn't know you had a detailing business. So what do you do exactly? And I'm assuming it's down in Tucson.
It is down in Tucson. I actually try not to do much actual detailing.
Okay.
I mean, first and foremost, people are absolutely disgusting.
Yes.
So cleaning up after their mess is not one of my fortes.
I wonder if he was here last week and heard that crap that I dealt with.
Oh, no, I don't know if he did. Robbie had one of the ones where...
I had a half-eaten sandwich in the dashboard. Like, shoved up in the dashboard.
Have you had maggots yet?
I didn't check it for maggots. I just kind of, got the gloves and just...
Yeah, maggots are the worst. I've dealt with that once, and that's where I was like, I'm not so sure I want to clean up after people anymore.
Yeah, no, I at a dealership, I had one where a customer came in complaining that their car smelled, and I found a whole fish wrapped, like how you buy it with eyes and everything, underneath the back seat.
In like a piece of paper,
like it was like just... the in like the meat tray with like the saran wrap and stuff. And I found that, and I told the service writer, and he was like, "Oh, I told them about it, and they said that they lost it 2 weeks ago." And I was like, "They've been dealing with a dead fish in their car.
They couldn't find their dead fish
Arizona
for
2 weeks."
Hey, that's still a DIAG charge too.
Yeah, no, I was like, I want my money. Like, I had to smell that and search. That was, yeah. People, if you have a smell or dirtiness, just clean up the worst of it before you go somewhere, because you're going to not make friends.
So Scott was saying you do more, I'm assuming, than more like the performance films and stuff like that. That side of cleaning up cars and protection.
Yeah, it's all about protection. A lot of it's PPF, a lot of paint protection film. Ceramic coatings are still up there. It's kind of hard market-wise just because so many companies now, do it yourself at home. Here, spray this on. And so that kind of drops off a little bit. Window tint, obviously window tint in Arizona is massive.
Yes,
and then
I actually need some, so we'll have to talk about other stuff too.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing my Miata.
Or more, and now they have colored PPF, which is actually starting to take more of the forefront on films. Vinyl wrap here in Arizona is, no matter how you take care of it, you're going to get a year to 18 months out of it at most.
Yes.
Whereas colored PPF, you want blue, you want black, pink, yellow, red, orange, it doesn't matter. You'll get 8 to 10 years out.
I didn't even know they had colored PPF. I had no idea.
Neither did I.
A lot. Carbon fiber.
Is it see-through, or is it just a different
just
style
colored
wrap?
PPF?
It's just colored PPF. So all PPF is 3 layers. So you're going to have your adhesive layer, then your urethane layer, then the top coat layer.
Okay.
So they're basically dyeing that urethane layer a color, whatever color it wants. And then so if you hold the film up, you can't see through it. It is that color.
Wow.
But it is, the longevity of this film is night and day difference.
So 2 seconds.
PPF is much harder to put on though, right?
Well, yeah. So vinyl is installed dry. It's basically a giant sticker.
Yes.
Where PPF is 2.5, 3 times thicker than most vinyl, but it is applied wet. So air bubbles, adhesive marks. If you don't squeegee it properly, you'll see the disturbance in the adhesive underneath the film. On black cars, and I forget the gentleman's name with the black Benz that came over with the Monster Miata.
Joffrey.
Yes, thank you. He had a black Benz, and on his hood I redid it twice because you can see where there's distortions in the PPF for the adhesive, and it's stuff like that. But yeah, it's all protection basically for me now, and then paint corrections. That's my bread and butter of what I like to do. People don't want to pay for it, but it's what I like to do.
Well, that's the other thing too. People don't understand that there are tiers, like what most people would consider good, and then all the way to what you would think would be good.
Correct. And yeah, the majority of people, they're just like, oh yeah, I just want it to shine. I'm like, okay.
Shiny
we can do that.
Attractive.
It's it, but it's not.
Well, what's the time difference away from when people just want it to shine, and then when people want it to appear like glass from any angle?
3 to 40 hours.
Oh,
I mean that's it. So if like your Miata, you just painted it, you want a single stage polish on it, 2.5, 3 hours at most.
okay.
Where somebody comes to me with a black car and says, I want this looking better than factory. Yeah, you're wet sanding it, you're multi-stage polishing it. The biggest thing that people don't ever understand is the amount of prep time in order to do it properly.
Yeah.
You see all of these cars out here now, they have textured plastic everywhere on the car. Your buffer, your pad touches that textured plastic, you're now turning that white. I don't care what you do to clean it, it is going to dye it white over time.
Yeah.
So you have to mask off every piece of plastic, every window molding.
Headlights.
And headlights I polish anyway, typically on most of them, but anything you don't want the actual pad or polish to touch, it has to get masked off. And if you do it half-assed, then it's half-assed work.
I will say too, I have done little buffing, which is also why I will never do it again. And I have burned through it was actually my green Civic from way back when.
Okay.
I remember burning through on it, and it was kind of an inconspicuous spot, so I just left it because it had gotten painted. It was just a daily. That was kind of my point of I never want to touch this again. And the second time that I did anything with a buffer was on a flip car that already had all of the paint gone. So we were just going to make it look slightly better.
So you were doing the I want shiny.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like the first time I was doing it, we had just painted it, and I wanted it to look really nice. So I did like wet sanding, and I was trying to get it, smooth or not a whole lot of orange peel over the end of it. And I burned through, and I was like, all right, Fred, can you finish?
I have to mess with. So since Coyote's sitting there looking like a poor lost puppy because he.
I think I have.
It worked.
Oh,
right.
He's back.
We have a Coyote, and he sounds wonderful this time.
And I was finding imagery to stick up on next to his face there, and I was just getting bored. But I guess I don't have to do that anymore.
No, I was muted the whole time.
Oh, wow. Well, good. Welcome to the show. Yes.
Oddly, I'm not muted at the bottom, but I was muted in the corner of the window.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Well, it sounds
So
crystal
this is
clear
actually
for
the
us.
phone mic.
Excellent. So we did have one question on there from Robert down in Mexico. He asked what Time Attack needs to do in order to bring more competitors to events. Are you talking about? So I guess I'll preface that with the Time Attack events that we've been going to. Almost all of them are sold out, and most of them have a pretty good sized wait list. So I'm not sure if it's that we need to bring more competitors per se, but it's for me, it's always a touchy topic when we talk about Time Attack versus time trials because they are very different. Time trials is where everything's very class-based and fair, and it's designed to be fair, and it's much more of a driver's sport, whereas the Time Attack stuff is obviously you can build to the hilt, and you can be a really terrible driver in a really fast car, and you might end up somewhere near a podium. It's probably not going to happen, but obviously if you have a good, well-built car and a good driver, you tend to go towards the front. So I don't know on that whether or not that is actually a realistic problem. It's a pretty low entry level to get into Time Attack. At least it is over here in Arizona. You can pretty much just sign up and go for entry level types of Time Attack. Stuff like Super Lap Battle, stuff like that. It's not that it's difficult to get in. It's just that the competition that is showing up is getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So you obviously your program needs to be someplace around there as a starting point. It needs to be someplace in that bottom third as a starting point to even have a good time, I guess. I remember when we first did our first super lap, the slowest car was I think right around 3 minutes, and now the slowest car is like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So there's a 20-second difference. So coming in with a 3-minute car wouldn't be as fun, I would imagine. But for most of the places, like the one I just did over at Grid Life, that was completely sold out. I got lucky and was able to get in because someone dropped out because their car broke. And then Super Lap Battle pretty typically is pretty darn close to sold out, if not sold out with a waiting list. So I'm not sure if more competitors are.
Maybe what he's talking about might be something like what they do at ASR.
Sure.
Where it's pretty much anybody, and they have everybody drive the entire day.
Right.
And then at one point they do where they get their 2 hot laps. Yeah. That would be essentially just talking with whoever's running your local track. Me and Robbie actually did one here in
that was
Tucson
fun down at Muscle
for a little bit until we didn't see eye to eye with the guy who ran Musselman. But
Good luck.
But yeah. Yeah, we were going well. Like the normal track days that I had been going to before me and Robbie started running the time attack there, were probably at most 12 cars for the.
Man, we had like 40 cars at one of those, didn't we?
I want to say we peaked at 51
because it was like 4 or 5 run groups.
0.7.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
of run
it was
groups.
a 0.7 mile track. And we had 51 people. Like, well, I was like, it was
like
probably 40 plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had at least 40 plus people coming regularly to do it. And I will say the one thing that made that
it was great while it lasted.
blossom. Yeah. Like what made that blossom and what brought more people out was actually structure.
Right.
So if you have a event where it feels like you're just going out there, kind of like how I did for my wedding, where it was just a bunch of friends and we ran for 4 hours and you could just go out and drive. That takes away from like a competition feel or a time attack feel. And yeah, just like Mr. Mazda said, being organized makes it so that people can go and just have fun and they have less to think of. It's like going to a theme park, right? You don't want to have to try to do anything other than just go have fun. So if you can just figure out something where it's completely structured and people show up and go, and then all they have to do is drive, and then if something else or someone else takes care of how it runs, which is how Super Lap Battle goes.
Right.
And
You're
Grid
a participant.
Life and
You pay
like
to
that.
participate. You don't pay to have a bunch of crap to deal with. It's just you come, you drive, and you have a good time. I said I really liked the Musselman one. I thought it was going to take off. I was super happy after that third one that we were down there. Then we pulled out.
It was great.
Yeah, after WDL and all, we all kind of pulled out because we said, hey, it's running by itself. This should keep going. There's no reason why not to. And then we heard about the like random people showing up and getting to drive and all that kind of stuff. That it kind of destructures the whole system.
Yeah, it was a whole thing of like there started being problems that the owner of the track didn't want to deal with because the problem was actually his friends.
Right. Yeah, and then that
so
makes
he didn't want to yell at his friend or tell his friend that he couldn't drive because his friend was ruining the event for 50 people.
Right. And I miss guys like John and all those guys that we used to hang out with all the time. It was a blast. I haven't seen any of them really since that time. It's been like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, I know. I want to. He talked to me, and yeah, John and Kevin were the ones that were running it mostly, and they asked me and Robbie to sort of add more structure to it because we've been running other affiliations a lot more. But yeah, I hope they try again, but again, it's all on the guy who runs the track on how well it's going to go.
It's not just time attack, and it's not just
no
like open track days out there. Even on I do a lot of karting. Even on karting, it's the exact same issue out there.
Stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like I said, that place, once we went down there, it's a cool little facility, and it would be nice to see it have a consistent structure that was more reliable, even from like gate fees and stuff like that. Every time I went down, there's a different gate fee. Sometimes there was a gate fee, sometimes there wasn't. Sometimes it was $20 more if I came an hour later. It was $20 cheaper if I came an hour earlier. If I came in with this hat on, it was a different price. This hat on was a different price. It was a little bit too much for me. I wanted to bring up one thing too with Coyote up there. So I keep forgetting his mic's working now. So I remember like years ago, I kept telling you, you need to try NASA, you need to try NASA, you need to try NASA. So you're technically trying NASA now.
No.
Oh.
Tell me.
So in the East, USTCC is sanctioned by SCCA.
That's terrible.
Well,
isn't it based on the NASA rulebook though?
We're on our own rule set.
Oh, so the East and the West have their own rulebook. So US
technically, yes.
So that's really strange, actually. So
it is.
So now, do the cars did they revise the rulebook so the cars can go easily from side to side, or no? Because they definitely don't with NASA and SCCA rulebooks never line up. So.
Oh. So the rulebook for us supersedes, like, we're not in an SCCA class.
Mm-hmm.
We're just running with their dates.
Huh.
So
you're,
like, we
you're
follow
just
the GCR guidelines on like safety and passing rules and stuff like that.
What about
there's no car classing?
The classing is all the USC touring car champion classing.
Yes.
So that is NASA's rulebook.
Oh. But is NASA all power to weight?
Yes, it's all power to weight based.
Well, unless you get to a spec class.
ST 1 through 3 are power to weight, and then 4 through 6 are power to weight with some small adjustments to aero and things like that. But yeah,
we're essentially like almost aero unlimited.
So what class do you run then?
Next year in the Porsche, I will either be in Super Touring or it'll be GT.
Yeah.
Which Super Touring?
Do they have Super Touring 1, 2, 3, or? I read the rulebook really
just Super
briefly,
Touring?
and I'm pretty sure it mirrors our Super Touring to an extent. That's what I was wondering.
I'm sure it does.
I'm pretty sure it does, because I was kind of just checking in on it, because I was interested to see how it was going, and I'm pretty sure it's literally SG 1, 2, and 3 is what happened. They moved that into another series that's just for ST stuff, which is pretty cool. It's like I said, it's pretty inclusive in that sense. Because I was looking to see if my car would class, and it does actually class. It would class in their 2 ground. Charlie Brown, yes, Charlie.
I think you would have to be GT.
Say what?
Yeah, I think your car, the NSX, would have to probably be GT. You make too much power. You'd have to weigh a ton.
I can turn it down. I had to turn it down.
It's just boost. That's all it is.
Actually, I'm turning.
That's the most unmanly thing I've ever heard.
Well, you know what? There was actually what was it? I can't remember his name. He used to run in. He probably still runs in Arizona, but he had a BMW, and he was good for 3 classes because of 3 tunes that he had for the BMW, and one of them was. I think it made like 250 horsepower, and it was an M3, but it made 250 at like 2,500 RPM, and then all the way to redline.
Are you talking about Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still out there. He's still killing it. He's basically untouchable, dude. In ST3 format, he's very hard to catch.
Oh, yeah, because well, it was like when I was running Honda Challenge, and I had 157 horsepower, or no, it was 153, because my class only allowed me 155, so I called it safe. But I had 153 horsepower for 2,000 RPM, which was all of the RPM I ever used in my gears.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't actually penalized us with a torque penalty in ST yet, because I make 408 pounds of torque at like 2,800 RPMs.
Oh, jeez.
And it goes all the way to redline.
Well, you know what's funny though? So in 2017, I won regional championship for Honda Challenge,
right.
And then because of how my engine, the K series, was running in my class on the East Coast, they gave my engine an extra 15 horsepower bump because they said that it wasn't fair. And I remember Gabe and Robert were like, "No, don't give him more horsepower."
No, that was funny. He needs some more.
yeah.
Just
They're
what
like,
you
"Ooh,
need to
hold
tell
up."
K-Series guys.
Yeah, K-Series guys need more power. It's unfair.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on the East Coast, or I don't know. It's just weird because over here, I remember being next to, a Type R that was 100% perfect for class and everything, and we'd be going, and every time he shifted, he would drop back. Every time I shifted, he'd never move. Just because I always was at the same power.
Robert asked if we think that. Have you been following Amir's build on his new Time Attack NSX with a rebuild of his NSX yet again? Because he's going from street class to unlimited class now. And if you've been watching his RS Future NSX, I mean, it's the whole back half is tubed now. It's going to be probably lighter than my car, even quite possibly. Obviously, he's going to be on Yoko A05s, I'd imagine. The question was, you think he'd be able to beat the 137 that PZ Tuning Wheel did at Buttonwillow? And Robert, that's up until PZ Tuning put that lap time down, I think an NSX actually was one of the fastest cars that was out there before that with a 138, like high 138, I think it was. So it's totally, the chassis is totally capable, and Amir has definitely done the research on that car, and he's a phenomenal driver. With the lap times he was doing in a street trim, I don't see why it wouldn't be feasible, especially over a couple of years of working on it. There's no reason to say he couldn't get down to that 137 range at Buttonwillow. Matt Viramontes agrees. It's totally feasible. I have so much respect for Amir and what he does. Obviously, being in the same chassis and watching what he's capable of doing, there's two things I understand. A, phenomenal build. The car is phenomenal. B, he's a phenomenal driver. So again, like I said, you put those two together, and all of a sudden you have that street car. It's a street class car destroying all of the limited class cars and most of the unlimited class cars. So I don't have any qualms. I bet you Amir will be pushing for the sub 140s pretty quickly. Him and Sean Cagle will have some good battles, I'm assuming, in the Corvette. Did we lose Coyote again?
Nope.
No, his video just disappeared. Weird.
No, yeah, he's still on mine, so
okay.
It's just internet on our side. Like Scott went in and out. I don't know what's going on.
Cool.
But what you're talking about, though, is one thing that I love talking to people about when they're not used to, road racing.
Sure.
Which is there's a big difference between time and the car. So.
Right.
If you're running in street trim a 138, if it was anywhere close to an unlimited trim, it would gain a lot. And it was the same thing. Like, actually, I know we were talking about Muscleman, but I was down there in my CRX in Honda Challenge trim, and I ran a 59.5,
right,
which was very quick for a lot of people there. And it made 153 horsepower. And I always told people there, I was like, I'm not fast. Like, my car is not fast compared to all the other classes that we ran with at NASA. And then Tage, which I think we might try to get him down on the chat next week. But Tage came down in his Civic, and he, after a few attempts and replacing an engine, he came down and he actually ran a high 52.
I have no idea he did that. That's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And that track, there's not a lot of advantage to straight line speed there. There's really not. But that's the difference between running A7 Hoosiers, I'm assuming, and a car that does have a very, very good power band and a very good gearbox.
Yes. 11-inch wide A7s. This was before the sequential. Supercharged K series, made almost 300. And yeah, he, like, I always told, I was like, we're not that, I'm it's just a regular Honda Challenge car. Like, we're just midfield at best.
I never went down there in any of my faster builds. I mean, my Honda Challenge car ran a 1 flat there, so I was pretty happy with that. And that was,
which
long.
Is consistent with B16. What I was doing.
Yeah, it was the B16, and it was a piece of crap.
Hey.
Whoa.
No. His was.
I've blown up a great many.
B16.
That's why Bs are so expensive now.
Me.
So, I wanted to touch base on a topic we all generally enjoy, except for Brandon because he doesn't follow anything. Scott,
I enjoy it. I don't follow.
You don't follow. You don't enjoy it. No, that's a lie.
Well,
F1. Scott. Silly
Yeah.
season is upon us. Oscar Piastri.
Good for him. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole fiasco of them coming out and then saying, "Hey, yeah, we signed him. He's driving for us," and then quickly to be, "No, I'm not."
What do you mean? I'm sure you saw how it unfolded. He'd signed a contract back in July, so quite a while ago that he had jumped ship without. It looks like that he had said that he was letting them know it was happening, but I guess they didn't really more or less believe it. But apparently he had made Otmar pretty aware, quite a while ago. So that what's interesting to me is that McLaren hasn't really been on the ascendancy either. Like Alpine's definitely been on the ascendancy, like quite heavily since even Daniel left. Like that's still been generally top midfield, where McLaren gets a little bit of hope and then just kind of it seems like they're nowhere again already this year.
Yeah.
Like it's been really disappointing watching them this year with the 2022 reset to not be in contention for fourth. Really, I mean, realistically, they're not.
Oh, and I think that Lando has that. I think Lando's a top 5 driver with a top 10 car.
I do agree. I do agree.
Yeah.
Lando, it could be if Lando was in a different machine, we would have the same thing that George Russell is doing. With where he's especially when he did that Abu Dhabi, or I think it was Abu Dhabi last year, and he just blitzed everybody. We're like, what the? Ferrari definitely, Matt, will find some way to mess it up. Obviously, they already have. Because if you look at all the first 11 races of the season, you could see that Ferrari was faster everywhere, and they just made mistakes and had DNFs. And Red Bull, I think, was only faster maybe 2 of the first 11 races on actual pace. Yeah. And then, when you start hearing scream out Plan G, Plan H, you're like, what happened to the first 7?
Yeah, as Elder Block said, Plan C is for cry.
What? Yeah. Coyote, are you still diehard Red or Ferrari, or are you on the Red Bull camp?
I am Ferrari by
That's what I thought.
Like lineage.
Yeah.
Like.
So how much does this hurt someone like you, man?
What's that?
How much does this hurt to watch? Because I mean, like the last real Ferrari push. I mean, 2017 was a good push. 2019 had some glimmers, but wasn't really a solid push. 2017 was their last really good push because they actually led Mercedes at the end of the summer break. They still were in front of them, not by much, by like 16 points. But that was the last time that Ferrari or anyone besides Red Bull has led at the summer break. And it hasn't happened again.
The sadness.
It's sadness. I
my
can't see for some
2017
reason.
Ferrari tattoo.
Oh no!
I can't even hear him now.
Oh, you can't hear Coyote now? Oh, well, I can
he
hear
was
him.
talking about his 2017 Ferrari tattoo.
I have a
Oh.
But
that's
so,
kinda
it's a
single,
bummer.
really.
I mean, I really thought we were going to stick into Red Bull a little
It
better.
did.
I'm gonna try to re-add Coyote and see if we can pull him back in. But I think it was a shame to watch, especially Charles just get pole position at Monza, and then have just no race pace, none. Like the Red Bulls just drove the first lap he made up like 6 spots.
Yeah, Verstappen went from 7th to 3rd by 2 laps.
Yeah, and that's a huge deficit. And they just enforced the new floor rules, which they thought would slow them down, which it seems to have made them faster.
Faster, yeah.
It seems like the deficit got more between everyone. And then Mercedes is only a few points behind Ferrari, which we, at the beginning of this year, we wouldn't have even seen Mercedes in the top 3.
No, not at all. And I think what it is, it's testament to Mercedes, and you're either a ham fam or you're not.
Sure.
But with him and Russell, because let's be real, they have the car. To me, that's the same as a McLaren car right now.
Right.
It's a top 10 car with top 3 drivers, in my opinion.
Sure.
And where you have Leclerc, who's definitely a top 3 driver. I mean, he's one of the best out there right now with stupid mistakes.
Right.
But it's just testament to Mercedes, especially, that they're in the position where they are with what car they've been given.
Sure. I mean, arguably they by far suffered the worst from all the porpoising and the aero effects, and they had to really rework it because they're the only guys running that strange side pod that's very much a pyramid shape versus an undercut shape. no one else is doing that because there obviously was some reason not to do that. They've all kind of adopted that fairly deep Coke bottle shape that Ferrari and Red Bull are using for the most part. And I mean, obviously, imitation is generally a pretty sincere form of flattery in that sport. So when you see someone come, you get the new Aston Martin, you're like, looks really familiar. I've seen that someplace.
Yeah,
that's how they seem to. But even then, like it's not like you mentioned. It's not just that. Like obviously, like there's been a lot of borrowing of details like that, and you still see Aston Martin in the bottom 5 most of the time. I mean, they're getting some results on race day, but they're not getting it on quali pace. So they're not getting straight line speed, or they're not getting 1 lap speed out of their design changes. So there's still just shows how far ahead the Red Bull and how far ahead the Ferrari are above everyone else. But then it's just so mind-boggling that you have Ferrari and Red Bull, half a second clear of everybody, and then Red Bull somehow another couple tenths of a second clear of Ferrari at this point in the game. And I mean, they're going to wrap up this championship probably in the next 1 or 2 races. At least the drivers.
It'll be next race for sure.
I think Singapore he'll have wrapped up the drivers' championship. I think mathematically there has to be at least 2 more for the constructors.
For the constructors, yep.
And
let's be real about Aston Martin. Let's look at their drivers.
Yeah.
Stroll's
got a seat because he's got a seat because he's got a seat. There's so many. I argue that Nico Hulkenberg is the one who should have that seat.
Oh, 100%.
Because he comes in super subs all the time, somehow gets a top 15 result in a car that hasn't been doing that. I think Vettel's just relaxed. He's over. He's done. Like he's not checked out. He's just having a good time and enjoys driving the car. I mean, arguably that last race his car failed him. So.
Yeah, and I don't think physically he can take it anymore. So I think he's more. Sure, he's racing, but the knowledge that man has in order to give a team and how to design a car and have a car,
right,
that's why he's still there.
Yeah. I did expect him to stay longer when Mike Crack moved over. I really did, but that was interesting that he only did this extra year. But how do you think Alonso's going to fare over there? Because you remember with Alonso McLaren? I don't know. The Alonso McLaren years were very tense with the Honda engine thing, and he's going to be I bet you he'll be very demanding of them to get this thing turned around quickly.
Which is fine. Yeah, and look what he's doing right now.
It'll push him along.
He's in an Alpine, and he's giving fantastic results.
Yes, he's definitely he's whitewashing Ocon, which Ocon's a pretty decent driver. He's always had pretty good results, especially at like Force India. He did quite well there.
Difference of opinion. I think Ocon and Latifi, neither one of them deserve seats right now.
I won't be mad if either of them disappear. I definitely I thought De Vries entering and his cover was quite good. Good jump in there.
Fantastic.
I mean, I'm glad to see Albon back in there. I do like Albon. I think he got the short end of that Red Bull stick, just like Gasly. I mean, those cars are built for Max. They're very hard to drive at this point, and they're all built 100% around what Max needs. So if you're anything besides that, yeah. Matt mentioned when Alonso's not holding up traffic. Yeah, he's pretty good at making that car wide.
Wide.
Really,
he is the best at defense. There is nobody better at defense than Alonso.
He will make you work for that pass no matter what car you're in. Even if you're in a Red Bull, he'll come up on you. He's not getting out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also agree with that.
Yes.
I remember him from years ago, and I agree.
He hasn't
changed.
I saw that there's some little BS about him possibly paying off mechanics back in the day. Hopefully that doesn't come out to be true, but that's the new BS that's going around.
The worst thing Ferrari did to me this year was give me hope.
All of us. I'm not a Ferrari fan, but I was definitely cheering for them for the first few.
Hearing you guys talk about what's been happening this year, it sounds very similar to probably one of the last times that I actually watched, which was the blown diffuser debacles. And how Red Bull came out with blown diffuser and was destroying people, and then people were trying to mimic them and stuff like that, and they came in and they went, no, you guys can't have this, exhaust has to point up. And then after that point, Red Bull began destroying everybody because they found out how to keep their blown diffuser even with the exhaust pointing up, and nobody else figured it out.
It's all manipulation of the rule book.
Yes,
that's all it is. And whoever can read the rule book and look at it, decipher ABC means A1, A2, A3, that's who's going to win. I mean, Mercedes was dominant for so many years because they knew how to manipulate the rule book. I mean,
wasn't that with the turbo?
No, I forget what it was called, but where they could push the steering wheel in and out.
Oh yeah,
the toe.
active
camera
toe
thing.
Yeah, that was quite fun.
Yeah,
quite
but
fun, quite genius. And
when they
look at how fast their tires warmed up.
Yep.
Compared to anybody else, so they would gain
their
2-3
restarts were crazy.
seconds. Yeah, it's all just how you can manipulate it, and right now Red Bull's got it figured out.
Was it the 1 point? It was the 1.6 V6s, the turbo ones. I don't know if they're still using those now, but when they first came out,
So
everybody
the
had their turbos
2014.
combined.
Oh, you're talking about the split turbo. So Honda and Mercedes both have a split turbo. So the turbo has a shaft that runs down the center, and the compressor and the exhaust wheel are actually separated by like a foot and a half.
Right. I remember when that first came out, Mercedes was the only one with it.
Right. Yeah.
And
before Honda entered,
whatever
they were the
they were
only
using.
ones.
Yeah, and that was one where because they kept everything colder, they ran everybody down on the straights no matter what.
Yeah, they had a much more consistent charge temp, so they were actually developing more power throughout the entire run. Audi entering will be interesting, Coyote. That will be interesting seeing Audi jump back in this. It sounds like they weren't ready for Porsche to join up with Red Bull. That got scrapped due to some issue with who has majority control, or maybe Honda's already went, "Hey, we want back in. Hello."
I'm a little bent about that.
Yeah.
I'm
you're a P car guy now. My bad.
Yeah, well, Honda did him
dirty.
Yeah, I told them so too.
Did you?
But
I've seen some of your spicy posts.
Oh, I emailed them straight to Honda.
Oh man, do you have a response?
Yeah, no.
No.
Of course.
No. I think they cut me out whenever I put the line in, like, your founder would be ashamed.
Oof.
Straight to HPD.
Let's be real though. 80% of what Honda's building right now is garbage.
That's true.
I agree.
I mean, when are you talking about when they
Except their
took
generators.
everything
Their generators
HPD
are quite
out
good.
of the old cars?
I'm talking about how HPD completely dropped all support for us,
Right.
but they just paid all this money for our photos and brought the truck and the new
They
cars
did the entry fee
and charged me for a
bumps.
T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, when we went to Nationals in 2015, Honda gave us hats.
You had a hat?
Oh, I had to pay.
At Laguna in 2015, I got a hat for free.
Because I don't have a Honda. That's why I didn't get shit.
Have you seen what Mazda does?
Well, you weren't Honda Challenge. Oh my gosh, Mazda,
Take
Mazda
some money.
will
Take
massage
it.
your back. Mazda bought me dinner.
They were trying to get you into a new CX-9, man. They were trying to get you all family card up.
So actually, I have a little note on the stretching the rulebook thin thing. I did something similar.
Yes.
Because the B16 head had not the same porting as the Type R head, and I'm not allowed to port a B16 head per se, but it's the same casting, and it was hand ported from Honda. So if I hand port it, prove Honda didn't do it.
I mean, fair. Well, you weren't here, Coyote. There was someone in a Honda Challenge page a long time ago. So in there it says that you have to have stock pedals, right? You have to have a stock pedal set.
Last time, I think.
Yeah. And they put Willwood pedals with rods controlling the stock pedal set because in the rule book it says that you can make adjustments for driver comfort.
So they just added another pedal set.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I don't know how much that is it worth it?
Oh, well, I had a follow-up question on that, 'cause we talked about this last time. I wonder if it would have been legal if you left the pedals there but disconnected and had the Willwood kit actually do all the actuation, but have them still move the stock pedals.
I mean, they're still moving.
I mean, they're still functioning.
It was so in the rule book it said that you could not have radiator ducting, but in Arizona, the Gabe, the guy who ran Honda Challenge, was like, yeah, everybody forget that rule. Put ducting in.
It's too hot.
Yeah. When it's 105, 110. Yeah.
Are you gonna come out to the Podium Club, Brandon, to hang out, or?
I would love to.
If you guys are done honeymooning and stuff. That hair gel
we've been
still hasn't
talking
worn
about
off
it,
there. It's still in
and
there.
yeah,
Yeah, it looks good.
but so well, this is like the new hairdo.
This is the
It's
new
kind
married. This is the new
The married hairdo.
Brandon
yeah, well,
Welsh married hairdo.
so when we were getting closer, she was like, "Hey, would you mind doing your hair for the wedding?" And I was like, just tell whatever barber we go to how to cut it, because I forget it's up there most of the time."
Yeah.
And
you will again, Brandon.
Well,
14 years.
Oh, I was what was it? 4 and a 2 until 3 months ago.
Oh, I remember when I met you. You had buzzed hair. I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
you had
the
long
whole
hair.
time.
You've been sneakily growing it out. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Very annoying.
Well,
very
it's like the other
It
thing
looks
too
pretty
is
though,
I would
Robbie.
normally.
It does look pretty.
Um,
He's showing us
so,
all up, Scott. I quit.
Hey, you know what? I'm okay with being ugly. So if he has to have the prettiest hair out of the group, I don't know. Look at Black's hair.
if I could
That's
have anything
phenomenal.
pretty
Yeah,
on me,
I got
it's really
braids.
just my hair.
Look at this.
Oh, all right. He's
on.
got me beat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, Robbie. Though you've got a luscious head of hair.
So
Let's be
it's
real.
gotten quite long. I actually need to go get it trimmed back down. It's time.
You
Yeah.
seen his mustache?
Yes,
Luscious
I
head.
can arguably grow
Oh,
the best mustache
So
here.
I hadn't seen Ravi in a little bit because I hadn't been to any NASA events and stuff like that. And when we first got on for the lives, before we had mics set up and everything, I saw Ravi and I was like, "Nice stash."
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the first thing I said.
I'm working for my my Halloween costume. We're gonna do a little bit of Ramathorn, little Ramathorn rabbit. That's probably the goal. Just once a year, just get it there. Out there, that's fantastic. I could do this every 3 weeks though. So if I get bored with it, just do it again.
Oh,
It's
that's
easy.
not bad.
I feel bad for you almost.
It's a blessing and a curse. That's for sure. Yep.
It
definitely.
sounds like a curse to me, buddy.
Team Ramrod. That's right. Team Ramrod.
Yes.
That's my Wi-Fi
Team
name, by the
Ramrod.
way. There was something else. Oh, so we're already getting towards the long end of this little episode here, but I
Yes.
did want to talk about one final thing that something maybe I'd like to bring up every time we have new guests on there, especially, which is what do cars mean and bring to the table for you specifically? And not all of us do motorsports, but just in general, sports cars, that type of thing. What do they bring to the table for you? Scott, go ahead.
Youth. Reminds me of being a kid.
What was your first car?
82 Plymouth Arrow pickup.
This is how we date people around here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It had
yeah.
a 2.8 liter 4-cylinder, made 140 horsepower, and I absolutely beat the crap out of that truck. And then it was an 87 Integra shortly after that, and the Honda hooked me in, and I've never owned anything else.
Yeah, you've been Honda for life since then.
Since then, and it's been so Brandon knows a little more. I've been around the Honda scene since late 90s, early 2000s here in Tucson. This was obviously Scott Byers
Right.
and
Collective.
his
Yes,
collective when he was the fast guy
The
with
Accord.
the 2.4 liter H22. Yep, and I was the first one to take him down in a street car.
Nice.
So it goes way back, and EKs, EGs.
Scott v. Scott.
Yeah, it was.
pretty much.
And I've been there since, and I've had nothing but Hondas. Right now, I own 2 of the new Accord 2-liter manuals.
That's a good
They're
engine.
Good choice.
Fantastic.
Good choice.
It's a
G20
family. I
Cs
mean, I have a
are
kid.
awesome.
Yep, I have a kid, so need the family life, but not willing to give up a little bit of fun in it.
Dude, those things will get down. They'll mob, especially if you do the MHI turbo and a little bit of fuel. They're scary fast.
And you don't even most of these now. I mean, there's guys making high 300s on a stock FK8 or turbo and fuel, and I mean, yeah, in a family car making 375 wheel.
Yeah.
Plenty. Oh, it was like what was it when the SIs were out? It was like 2017, 2018 before they were
L15.
The Type R was coming out. Yeah, the L15. I read up on someone, and he had a stock L15 with exhaust after the turbo and like an intake, and he put on a Type R turbo and that was it. So Type R turbo, stock fueling system, exhaust from the turbo back, and a intake, not a manifold, just the tube and everything in front of the turbo, and it put down 405.
Just those K are phenomenal. They're phenomenal.
They are a little baby K series, honestly.
Yes. Yeah.
We've had really good luck with the K20Cs. We're trying to put them in more things. I keep getting people asking me to buy a kit for that. I'm like, we don't actually have a kit yet. We just put it in there. It fits. We're trying to get that out by the end of the year because there seems to be a lot of demand for it.
It's weird though. I would still rather have a non-throttle by wire K series.
Really, I really like the throttle by wire.
So there's like a big difference, right? I haven't been a fan of throttle by wire, which is always weird to say because it should just be electronic throttle body.
I know why I like mine though, because mine still has a cable. There's a cable, so you can feel the cable and it feels normal, but it's converted to a digital signal. So a lot of people don't know the S2000 AP2 did that. So mine literally has a S2000 pedal position sensor off of a drive-by-wire S2000, and it's taking the NSX cable, goes through it, actuates right off the factory pedal. It's the NSX pedal set, so it feels completely normal, just like it always has. It's got that spring pressure, and everything feels normal. And then the Motec is actually interpreting it in a couple different variations, depending on the mile an hour and stuff like that.
I will say too, I didn't like them because of a inherent lag, which is more programming.
Yeah, that's all. Because either it's programmable at this point, or it's just not there to begin with.
Yeah, like my Miata, which is an 06, has almost no lag.
Right.
Which that card like changed my mind on like, oh, this isn't that bad. Where like my 4Runner, which is an 07, I am able to floor the gas pedal all the way down and then come all the way off again. And no, like I can actually do it without the engine revving.
Yeah.
So
like it just misses it, and that's something as a driver, like what Scott was referring to. You don't like.
Yeah, no,
it needs to be instant.
The modern stuff definitely has solved a lot of those issues that happened early on. Like on the Motec, you can actually watch the throttle position, like command versus the feedback sensor, and they just go together. Like there's zero lag. You can add lag if you want to, but we obviously have it as direct as possible for the sake of drivability for what that car is like.
So here's the question about this: what's the benefit?
What's the benefit? So
because give me an old throttle body, give me a throttle cable. No throttle by wire bolt.
What my benefit is that we can use it for traction control. So I have the ability to tape based on mile an hour. The pedal will operate completely differently. So if I slam it hard at low RPMs with a high torque load, it will smooth that out to make sure that the car doesn't do a burnout. I can turn that off if I want, but I have it on for the sake of quarter hole shot. I don't know if you, Brendan, if you have ever in front of you, but the car doesn't really ever twitch when it's accelerating. It just goes, and it figures itself out, and it goes no matter what mile an hour, low speed or high speed. So at higher speed, Scott, the throttle's more direct. If in third gear at like 80, and if I punch it, it'll just go. There's no interference at all. But at low speeds, where those torque loads can cause the tires to unload and loop the car, it'll actually control that to a manner that keeps the wheel spin down. Hugely advantageous when the car is depending on a lot of mechanical grip.
I will say when it comes to regular cable stuff, my old B series, my old B series showed the one bad thing with throttle cables, which I guess just more relates on how I drove it. So the stop for my cable, the stop was actually beaten about 5 millimeters further past floored. So I had to put a new throttle body on there because it was twisting it the other direction.
It was actually past fully open. It was.
Yeah, there was a dent, and the metal had been worn away because I had the throttle body for, I don't know, it was like 7 years or something like that.
Coyote, you still there?
Yes.
What about you? What was your first vehicle?
Oh, my first. I was actually going to comment really quick that my throttle body fell off last race.
Oh yeah, you showed me the picture. That was nuts. It just was not in
All
the
four
exit of the chat.
backed out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good old
Fell
Porsche
off.
studs.
Pegged it wide open.
Tell us about
Well,
your first
Subaru
car.
studs.
Oh, okay.
My first car. My first car was a Buick Skylark.
Wow.
Which chassis though? The small one or the big grandma one?
Like the newer, grosser one.
Okay.
Like it wasn't good.
Was
And I
not.
have no input on that because I didn't like it.
Oh, thank you, Anthony.
I was trying to find a
Okay,
picture.
so here's a random question for you guys, because this is always a hot topic with me and some of my clients.
Yeah.
Best sports car.
Oof.
Porsche
Is it-
911.
Get in, buy it, get in, drive it, have fun, beat on it.
What
Best
price
sports
point
car.
are we talking?
Doesn't
No,
matter.
no price point.
No
Doesn't
price
matter.
point.
None.
Oh, I'm gonna be extremely biased on this one.
Bring it.
I will still stand by that the NSX has achieved something that most of them do not achieve, which is, and let's call it the new one. I'm going to go with the new one. I like the old one. I love it, but it was fairly dated, obviously. I'm going to go with the new one because it still is something that you can hop in and confidently drive across the U.S. any time of the week. It has a pretty good range. It's got all the creature comforts. It's comfortable to drive. It's not a harsh thing. Like one of my favorite things I always saw when that car came out initially is they always were benchmarking it versus the Viper ACR. I'm like, yes, the ACR is a couple tenths faster around most racetracks, but you would never want to drive it to work ever, or drive it across the country. It'd be awful. I like that it has the all-electric mode that you can use for just putzing around low speed. I like how the hybrid inputs. I like the all-wheel drive. I like how it handles. And I guess
How tall are you, Robbie?
yeah, I am only 5'10", or supposed to be 5'9", when I stand straight up and tall. Now the new NSX, you can be up in the 6 foot plus, and you'll still fit in it. The old one, you could not do that. The old
No.
one was a massive problem.
Scott says no.
I guess it depends how much torso you have. I've seen quite a few tall people in them.
I'm 6'3", and I'd fit in either one.
Oh, that sucks.
So
I liked the new NSX.
I do too, and they are. I'll give you, Robbie. They are fantastic cars. They're fantastic to drive, and they are bullet fast. But when I'm in it, and the top window frame is right here,
Problem for being tall, for sure. I guess. Huh?
it does, and it kills me as far as the car because a car has. That's the other thing to think about on that new NSX. Their blind spots on that car are absolutely atrocious.
I got used to them pretty quick in a couple of manners, actually. With my mirrors adjusted the way I do in my racing cars. I'm so used to not having a rear mirror out at all in general. I'm so used to not being able to see out the back of any car. So I guess it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah. I mean, you have a little bit.
Whoa.
You know that. It's a little different.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, you.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's hear, Brandon. What do you got?
So, I mean, it all depends. Like in my opinion, I would honestly say Miata. Like,
That's
granted,
not a sports car.
Okay. We don't Family Guy out of this. So I've driven 911s. I've driven Robbie's NSX. I've driven 440 horsepower supercharged NSX. Like I love how the NSX feels and stuff like that. I'm 5'10", and sitting in them comfortable with my feet, which I have, I guess you would say, short legs, but I sit rather close, so the seat is further up, and my head is at least touching the roof of like your white NSX.
Yeah, definitely. My white one's definitely tight in there.
And I mean, granted though, like driving the NSX though, like it is so confidence inspiring. Granted, this is the older one.
My
I haven't driven
second
the new
choice
one yet.
definitely would be a 911, by the way. Or actually, I take that back. Cayman. I would rather.
Yeah,
but which 911?
I'd say skip. If I had to choose 911, I'd definitely go GT3 RS. But if I had to choose a Porsche, I would say Cayman. The Cayman, I think, is superior.
GT4.
The GT4 Cayman is, I think, is the superior of all the Porsche cars. It may not be the fastest, but again, it's that one that I could take to work. I could drive across the country. Cost of ownership's not nearly as rough. Easier to drive. Easier to get to the limit. That's what I would say if I had to go with.
I mean, granted, in my opinion,
by the way, I
would
put up that
say...
picture of Coyote's throttle body. If you want a good laugh, it's on the screen.
But so like I've been dealing with 911s. Essentially, 996s a lot more.
I hate
And
those
I granted 996s are the
trash.
the forgotten child.
Trash.
They're
They
not
need to
that
be.
bad.
Brandon, they're
No,
awesome to
no,
work
no,
on.
no.
They're easy to work on. They're trash.
They are easy.
996
996
Turbo.
are like Latifi. Get rid of it.
I mean, granted, if I had to do
There's a
looks
reason they're
wise,
only
I would
like
say
30 grand.
not well. They were much cheaper before all this. Like I remember
Yeah.
looking at, they were like 12
They're-
grand for
Well, it's
an
because it's that
NA.
one of those faces that only a mother really could love.
I mean, this is true.
You guys are rude.
But correct.
But it's like
Correct.
granted though, the 996 is the most aerodynamic Porsche.
That car's
Until
probably
I
just
think
as
the
good forwards as it is
991.
backwards.
It's better than a Boxster for sure.
Yeah, I have a 993 over a 996.
993 is 993 or a 9. Everybody wants a 930. Who doesn't want a 930? That car is
Of course.
drop dead
I mean,
gorgeous.
no, yeah.
How do we
I
always end up
actually
talking
don't know
about
if I'd
Porsches?
save-
You see my shirt?
What does it say? Save the whales. Yeah.
the
Save
whales.
the
The
whales.
whales. Yeah, 993s are the prettiest Porsche they've ever built.
993s are. I do like 997.2s. But I say the Miata surely on the fact that they're very comfortable to drive. Granted, it's also going to be another Miata that people don't like. I like the NC the most.
Of course. I'll give you that.
So-
I actually don't hate the NG.
And I'm with him. A Miata
The
needs to be an
NA and
NC.
NB are not exactly comfortable. They're not something I'd want to drive across the country. They don't have any of the.
NBs have the smallest interior.
Yeah.
I've ever like. I fit in NAs no problem. I'm 5'10". Granted, I'll still touch the soft top every once in a while. NBs.
They're not cool.
It's like I've had sleeping bags that have more room than an NB. NDs are great, but they have so much like built up around them. Like they're trying to be like a Corvette or something. Like
Yeah.
it's just so much with the dash and everything. But as for NCs, like I like
So-
especially a 6-speed like a GT1. They're not fast, but granted we're saying sports cars, so it'd be one of those things like you can drive to work and they get like 30 miles per gallon, which isn't terrible, but even stock you can go drive them through a canyon and have a really a really good time driving them.
You're gonna leave with a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so I'm with Scott where I was a V8 guy. I had a S10 for my first vehicle, and I drove, and I know Ravi, all of you guys will understand this. I drove a 92 CX Civic,
Yikes.
So fast.
which literally the slowest, longest gearing thing. It's
Yeah.
not fun, but I drove it, and it was so much more fun than any American car I had ever been in. I was like, I'm more in this for how the car feels than anything.
If I go back a notch too, so like I said, the NSX, the reason why I didn't want to bring it up is because it's generally speaking unattainable to most people, including myself. I can't afford one. They're gone. Their prices are through the roof. Out of the current generation of sub $60,000 cars, I think a really good buy that's going to always be left out as much as I hate how they sound, the FRS is. I think the FRS is still one of the best entry-level sports cars you can buy.
I loved mine.
I think
I
it
love
I
handles
knew you were going to say
amazing.
that.
I think the new ones they got just perfect, but they got the power correct. That was the big issue. Is they didn't have a lot of power.
Not the
Except
RTV.
for-
No, they
yes,
did not
I was
get
gonna
No,
say
not the
that.
RT.
Or did they?
No,
Oh.
they didn't. No, the
No, they
brand new
didn't.
ones
They
are still
definitely-
sucking it up.
It still
Well,
was terrible.
so
Eric Kennel
you
just
can
pulled
get
his
an
apart.
older
It had
one.
silicone up in the pickup.
Yeah, he had 1,000 miles. But you can have the RTV problem, or you can have the older one where you have the valve train problem.
You get a 2016
Either way, you're
Enduro,
going to
you're in
lose an
good
engine.
shape. 2016 Enduro, you don't have to worry about it. We get so many of those here.
2016 to 2020.
Yeah. I think that's a very overlooked car because you can drive it across country. It's still it's a Subaru by engine, but all intents and purposes, I see hundreds of those a year here, and they're all here for the
Yeah.
same things, and none of them are major or expensive. They're here for very standard stuff: valve cover gaskets and throw-up bearings, and that's it.
Here's what I like. So like Miatas, the FRSs or whatever. Like there's essentially, it's kind of like how Honda was it attracted a certain type of person that ruined it for other people because they only thought of that person driving them.
Did the car ruin it? Or
No. It was the
Fast
people.
and the Furious ruin it.
Fast and the Furious. Yeah.
And then I'll go one note further on that sub 60,000.
That's a different.
I still think if I was given 60 grand tomorrow to say to go buy whatever current sports car you like out there, I probably would still buy an FK8 though. I would still go front wheel drive Honda because that one still has 4 doors, arguably more comfortable than the FRS, definitely faster. Definitely faster. I love the engine in that thing. We already talked about that engine. It's just an absolute masterpiece. I really like the blip shift and the downshifting in that. It's extremely accurate. It's better than anyone I've ever driven. And I think they'll hold their value too from that point of view. And there's something about the FK. Like I like the new FL5. It's really pretty, and I really appreciate it. I think it's more Audi-esque, but I like the FK because it's a throwback for Honda back to when they made kind of wilder cars. You know. I think the F8 with its kind of stupid plastic vents and like Rice Boy fun is actually the best part about that car. Where the FL5 is a drop-dead gorgeous car and it hits all the right buttons for aesthetics, but it's fairly reserved, you know.
But Honda's been reserved for a long time.
Exactly, and that's why I like the
Type
FK
Rs.
because they let it all loose. They let it just happen, Scott, and that's why I liked it. They let it just happen. And they said, "Hey, we're gonna make one crazy wild one." And you guys can have it, and then they quickly pulled it right back in with the FL5, which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different again.
No, but driving those, they are superb.
Yeah,
I will actually say right now, if like what Robbie said, if someone gave me 60 grand, it would either be an FK8 or the new one.
Yeah, like I would be between that two, depending if I'm feeling mature that day or not. Like, am I going to play skee ball after I buy the car, or am I going to work?
For me, it would actually only. My mom has a 17 Civic, and that car is great, except for 2 things would make me never purchase that car in my life.
Is it the visors?
No. And it's not like actually the only thing when my mom was looking for it, the only thing that I looked at that people complained about was if you left it in the sun, the vents went up.
Yes.
So you had to redirect the vents to you. But
Coyote,
first world
60
problems.
grand. Can't be a used Porsche.
60 grand.
60 grand. Not a used Porsche.
I thought we were talking about best sports car.
Let's talk about a newish.
We did.
We did. We covered that. Let's get his best sports car.
Let's get your best sports car.
What was your real answer then?
Let's hear your real answer, and then let's hear your 60 grand answer.
I'll give you a quick one on both.
Okay.
The best sports car that I've ever driven is a Huracan. Period. There's even in the best, latest, greatest 911 GT3 RS, 2 RS, whatever. When you're parked at a red light, people aren't taking pictures of it because they can't tell what model it is.
That's true.
So you're not saying race car. Sports car has to have sex appeal, the good sounds, good downshift, like tons of power. That car hits all the marks. 60 grand. And it can't be a Porsche.
Well, it can be, but it shouldn't be a used Porsche for 60 grand because let's be honest.
It has to be a new car.
What good car are you going to buy from Porsche for 60 grand? There's not that many.
Cayman.
Macan.
Oh God.
Not even.
Actually,
it's terrible.
Macans are phenomenal.
Okay, but that's not really.
Macans are great.
You're killing me.
60 grand. I only buy used cars. I had a brand new FK8, and it was the best out-of-the-box car I ever owned.
Right.
But I kept it for 4,000 miles and traded it in because it was far too expensive for what it was.
Sure.
For $800 a month that you're going to pay for something like that, I
just put the best car ever up on the stream just so you can all see it.
Okay. I can't wait to see whatever that is.
It's clearly... It's clearly epitome.
Gremlin AMC.
Dating ourselves again. The Gremlin.
For 60 grand for a new car,
60
probably
grand
the Supra.
Supra? We're not assuming dealer markup, so yeah, that's fair. Supra is about 60 grand, I believe, without all the markup.
Yeah,
bullshit.
I really like
That's
driving
good-
the
that's a
Supra.
good
I
point.
mean, it has its issues.
For me, it's not good because I don't
enjoyed
like big cars. That doesn't work for me, but it's a good choice, so I highly recommend that.
Well,
It's
yeah, I mean,
probably
even
a much
the old
better choice
Supras
than a
felt big.
Quattroporte.
I had a Gran Turismo.
Oh, was that what it was? Still trash.
Yeah, excuse me. At least it was the right one.
It was the right one.
Maserati's trash.
Did you get it sold
Oh.
finally?
I gave them $2,000 to take it, and they sent it to an auction.
I did not know that. Did you get any money out of
Yep.
it?
Oh no. Like I owed on it.
Uh-huh.
They offered me $2,000 less. I handed them $2,000 and said I'm done.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry,
Well,
you wrench.
but before we finish this, I did want to complain about the 17 and up Civic,
Okay.
which is the two things that I will never own one because of these two things. It's the climate control
Is garbage.
is literally the climate control. Whoever designed that should be forced to eat cat food for the rest of their life.
Wait, canned or
Dry.
oof. Canned can only be
The
that
second thing, the second thing is kind of similar, but it's the right blinker camera.
Oh, those are so ugly.
No. So not only that it looks horrible on the what's it called, on the mirror. Not only that when you're driving at night, it's literally just a white screen blinding you in the middle of your dash.
Right.
The thing that makes me mad about it is the only way to turn it off is to push a button as you turn it on. But if you try to turn it off before you turn it on, it's now just on, regardless of if you have the blinker on or not. So it's like the most infuriating thing where you're trying to enjoy this nice car, which I drove it for a few months because my mom was nice enough to let me use it while I was painting my car. And I got an average, granted this is a 1.5 liter turbo, no hybrid. I got an average of 45 miles per gallon.
That's
My
But
best-
it's also the CVT.
Yeah, it's the CVT auto. But my best from work to home, which is 41 miles, was 56 miles per gallon.
That's
I
impressive.
used less than a gallon
That's
on my
better
way
than my
home.
bike,
and I'm-
dude.
Yeah, it's it's a wonderful car. But those two things, I'll deal with a car that has 30 miles per gallon because it doesn't have those.
Yeah.
I can turn
Well,
the
you are
controls when
picky.
I want.
He is a
Those are
picky
little
bugger.
things.
Why do you think it took so long for him to get married?
That's
Right?
true.
So it's the other thing too. I had a turbo MR2, and I don't have it because it didn't have cruise control and it didn't have cup holders.
So you're saying you would not own a Type R, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't own an FK8 because of
No,
those options.
The real Type R. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Acura.
well,
It's got cup
Well-
holders.
I have a cup
Yeah,
holder.
it's
It
got
does
no
not have
holder.
cruise control, though.
granted,
No, but,
if I had a
but
cup
easily
holder,
added.
One
you know,
sheet
and-
metal screw away, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things like the CRX I'll never sell, but I don't drive that to work.
My beef with the NSX, go back to Ravi, was that they literally just took the infotainment out of the Type R and were like, good enough.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, it worked okay. I mean, to
Like,
be fair,
bro, this costs as much as
So,
my
I've
head.
only driven one. I've driven that car twice, and I'll tell you, both times I was not worried about the infotainment because I was doing 140 on
Yeah.
Warner Road.
I had it 4 hours in the streets.
I mean, you could have the BMW iDrive system.
I'll try to find the video from so in
Worst,
2017
worst made.
in 2017 before the car was fully released and they were still kind of trickling out. I got my hand on VIN number 0000 at the dealership as it traveled around the country, and the guys were, I don't know what the word is, but they gave me the keys to the car, and they let
They
me.
demoed it.
Yes, knowing I was
Yeah.
never going to buy one or ever be able to
Yeah.
afford one. And then when I said, "Can you hold my cell phone and press that red button right there?" they agreed. And they videotaped me publicly on a live stream blasting down Warner Road in Elliott and down the I-10 at absolute not legal speeds, and then posted it publicly. And I never
hold
got
on.
arrested.
Fair.
Yes.
But before we finish, I do
Yes.
want to, Mr. Sparkle.
Ah.
I would never recommend someone to own a Chrysler product in my life.
Never.
And if you want to speak about eats brakes, I know the Jeep Wrangler, if you drive it completely calm like a grandma, there's a certain year range of them. And if you get 15,000 miles out of the rear brakes on it, you're doing good. But yeah, I don't know. I disagree with you that the new Type R is junk and that you would rather have an SRT4 caliper.
On the Type R is funny too. It's a lot of guys who are doing the track had issues with the brakes, and we realized if you just put it in R mode, that all the issues went away just because it stopped trying to control things.
ABS destroys brakes.
Yeah, that's pretty common on most modern cars that have any kind of stability control and all that. They eat brakes until you take all the nannies off. But either way, I check mark the FK and the FL5 as definitely top 5 on sub $60,000 cars. And honestly, if I bumped it up to 100 grand, I'd probably still be in that same camp. If that's a great runaround, all-around car. The only reason I didn't bring any Subarus into this is I have to work on them, and no, I cannot afford those things. They're dreadful.
No, I don't like the way they drive. I drove a new STI.
I don't mind the VA, but yeah, the 2022s are terrible.
Here's the thing too. Like my biggest problem with the STI is they have this, diff thing, and they're like, oh, you can have it all the way to the rear. And I did that, and it literally had more understeer than most front wheel drives I've ever been in.
Got it. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. They tend to understeer before they oversteer.
Like, how is that a sports car when a van can turn better than this thing?
All right, guys, we better wrap it up. It's already almost time to call it for the night. And I appreciate you for watching. Again, I was watching the whole time. Looks like a lot of you stuck out for another hour of infotainment with us, and we hope to see you back next week. Leave some comments and questions. And let's jump on it for next week, and we'll come up with some more content for you and have a good time. Thank you, Scott, for joining us. We'll definitely have you again. Coyote, as always, thank you. Thanks for finally figured out your mic situation.
Yes, you sounded wonderful.
I don't think that was my fault.
User error.
I don't think it was my fault.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next Tuesday, and have a wonderful week. All right, everybody, have a good time. Be safe.